Morning to the 7 folks that are on. Hope you're having a wonderful Friday already. You get squared away here. Please like and share. Anybody hear me okay? All right, we got 12 people on this morning. Welcome to Coffee with Rich. My name is Rich Brown. I am the co-host, co-founder of the American Warrior Society, American Warrior Show, retired Marine Corps officer, former cop, former regional manager, disaster preparedness and government operations for the great state of Tennessee. And I hope you guys are having a good Friday out there. Hey, let me know if my sound is good. Sound is good, Bob says. Okay, great. Sponsors, man. First of all, I'm going to make Rule King the unofficial sponsor of today's show because when the Walmart stopped selling handgun ammunition in this small town, a lot of people are having problems. Now, if you're watching Coffee with Rich, you probably get your ammo online in bulk like I do. But every now and then I like to run out and get a little ammo. And Rule King said they would not stop selling handgun ammunition. So God bless them, and they got my business. The official sponsor of Coffee with the Rich is going to be the American Warrior Society. If you're out there sitting on your couch like I am, and you need something to do, you want to keep training, you know, you can't get to jiu-jitsu because it's closed right now because you could catch the COVID. Man, we got a training vault for you, and for the next 2 weeks, it won't cost you anything to be a member. Jump in there, become a member if you're not already, and take advantage of all the content that we have in there. If that's not your jam, you don't want to be part of a paid membership site, then don't. We've got 213 shows, I believe, for you to choose from. Pick your subject matter expert. We've had virtually everybody in the industry on the show at one point or another, so we've got you covered. You want to check out an article, all of our articles are free. We got all that stuff for you. So let's see who's on this morning. Got 27 folks on this morning. That's awesome. Christopher, hope that baby's doing good down there. Good morning, Aiken. Good to see you. Bruce says good morning. Terry says good morning. Chris says the weather's gorgeous. Yeah, it was absolutely beautiful out here yesterday. We were tossing the football around in the front yard. Good times. Greg says morning all. Edward says good morning. John, my old partner in crime, Mr. Mike Zieklander's on. Good morning. Okay, good. 30 folks on this morning. We got an interesting conversation. We're not going to talk about COVID, man. We're going to talk about battle belts, or what I call my duty belt. And we'll explain why. But first, got to tell you about the show you need to check out. If you haven't listened to show 208, one of our most popular shows we've probably ever done, it was a show that I had a unwanted, unexpected guest up here one night on the farm. And somebody pulled in my driveway. It's a long story, but it's a pretty interesting story. I ended up having to draw down on the guy. He was trying to climb underneath my truck to steal my catalytic converter. I don't know what the hell he was trying to do, but we finally got him back in his truck and on his way, and nobody had to get hurt. But it caused me to rethink my position on a few things. Chief among them was the concept of a civilian-owned, civilian-run battle belt. I just thought that was I always thought that was kind of crazy. I'm going to talk to you a little bit more about that in a second, but show 208. Mike and I break down all the lessons that I learned from that gentleman that showed up unwanted and unannounced to my house late at night, and how we ended up dealing with it. And I think it worked out pretty well. Obviously, he left here with the same holes he came here with, so that worked out well for him. But so far, it worked out well for my family, too. But check out show 208 to listen to more on that. And before I go any further, please like and share before I get into this. I got my duty belt sitting here, and we're going to talk about it in detail. I'm going to put it on and show it to you. But please like and share. I'll take a quick sip of the coffee to let the 34 folks that are on like and share. If you want to pick out some cool American Warrior Society swag, like this zip-up hoodie I got, check it out at our store, AmericanWarriorShow.com or AmericanWarriorSociety.com. Mr. Doug Lightfoot is on. Good morning, sir. James is on. Sydney is on. Sydney says, good morning from Chicago. Holding up in Wisconsin until things get better. Probably a good idea. I don't know that I'd want to be in Chicago right now. Okay, so today we're going to talk about the do-it-yourself duty belt. And I don't like the term battle belts because battle belts are made for the battlefield. And I always had to me, you know, I would see I'm going to be honest with you guys, I would see a civilian running some sort of piece of military kit or all battle belted out, and I would just think, like, you know, what are you LARPing around? What are you doing? This is a serious kit for a serious purpose, and some of my friends died wearing that gear, and I just didn't like it. I didn't see a purpose in it. But I come to the point where I admit I'm sorry, I was wrong. There is some very exigent circumstances when the DIY duty belt is appropriate. And I learned that the hard way when I was a little unprepared for dealing with a guy in my driveway, because I thought, as this thing kind of unfolded on me up here, I thought there's some things I wished I had once I got outside with him. Yeah, I had the handgun. Yeah, I had the flashlight. But there was some other pieces of kit that I wish I had on me. And I wish I had something that was quick and easily accessible to deal with something like that out here on the farm, because I don't live in the city. Help in the form of a sheriff's deputy is at least 20 to 25 minutes away. They run pretty thin up here. The guy's starting salary up here, I think, is $25,000 a year. So you're pretty much on your own, just like you see we are now. And like I said yesterday morning on Coffee with the Rich, my farm is sandwiched in between two large correctional facilities, the Morgan County Correctional Complex and the one there in Pikeville, just south of me. So, and again, we got 14 acres and a lot of outbuildings and things on the property that I might need to check out. So, if I could have a battle belt, we're going to call it a duty belt. If I had a duty belt that I could go out there and do that, I think that would be a good thing. So before I go any further, I keep teasing it. You're going to see it in just a second. Let's see who's on. Matt says good morning. Thank you to the 39 folks that are on this morning. Dan says lock down both states. Rudy has joined us. Good morning. Tommy says just joined us, and Rudy says good morning. Okay, enough teasing. Why do I call it a duty belt and not a battle belt? Well, when I was a police officer, I ran a duty belt. And I don't have a sworn duty to protect and defend the citizens of any state anymore, or this country. I have a duty. I believe my Heavenly Father has given me a duty to be the earthly father to my family. And I take that duty very seriously. So this is my duty belt. I will show it to you. Can you see it okay? Let me say I've never been a fan of these leg straps, but what I found is without the leg strap, the gun cocks at a weird angle, and it would not, it wouldn't allow me to holster and reholster smoothly to draw the weapon. So I had to run a leg strap. We'll kind of talk through each piece of kit real quick. Hope you can still hear me. Latex gloves, pepper spray, handgun, flashlight, cuffs, soft T-wide tourniquet, 30 rounds, a knife and a locking sheath, and then a mag pouch. Oh yeah, and a set of really good gloves. And that kind of rounds it out. So we'll talk about each piece of kit real quick, but before I do, let's say howdy to the 52 folks we got online this morning. All right. Good morning, folks. If you got any questions about any piece of kit on here, why I chose to put it on here, let me know. Like I said, this is my Rich Brown DIY duty belt. You might call it a battle belt. To me, it's a duty belt. We start with the belt system. Now, as you can see here, there's an inner belt. I'm running a tactical assault gear as my sleeve, and then I've got a Cobra belt inside of it. Now, I'll tell you how I got this thing, because the two belts alone are probably about $200 if you buy them separately. I traded my buddy Kevin Weber, shout out if you're on, Kevin, this morning. Traded him some American Warrior Society swag for this belt system. It's a really good belt system. So as you can see, it gives you the opportunity to weave it in and out through this MOLLE configuration and hook your gear up on here. I like the Cobra system. It's very quick and easy on and off, and it stays secure. This tactical assault gear inner belt is very padded, very comfortable, really well made piece of kit. Latex gloves, I gotta be honest with you, this was kind of a late addition, and I don't know that I like it riding right here in front of the pepper spray, but I'm gonna have latex gloves on here for quite some time now, not just for COVID, but for bloodborne pathogens. If I have to start plugging holes with somebody, I wanna be able to protect myself. Pepper spray, as you know, if you've watched any of the Coffee with the Riches, I like Saber Red and I like Fox Labs. This right here is a pepper gel, and the reason I went with that is, let's say I do have to spray inside my house. I do not want the aerosolization of a normal spray, so the gel will get on the person and only on that person, so that's why I chose this, just in case I have to shoot this in and around my family or inside my house. The gel is great for that. As far as the handgun goes, it's a it's a Glock 19 with a Burris fast fire optic on it. It's got the this wasn't an MOS model. It's an old, I don't know what model Glock it is, doesn't matter. But I had to put it in one of these things so that I could have co-witness set of sights. And then it's got a TLR2 HL on it with the grip activation switch. So, great piece of kit. And I run the light on here because I don't see good. And when I get up in the middle of the night, I am not going to have glasses on. I'm going to be Rich in his 50-year-old eyes trying to acquire the sights on this. So that's why I like the red dot. But it also has the laser on the grip activation. The next thing we have is just a flashlight. And you're like, well, Rich, why would you do that? You're running a light on here because what if this light goes down? I need a backup light. There's a whole host of reasons why I may not want to muzzle something. I just may want to see something. So this gives me the ability to actually use a light independent of a firearm. Then we got a pair of handcuffs. And you're like, Rich, you're not a cop anymore. Why are you running handcuffs? That's a good question. But this situation that I had on my farm, this guy that showed up unannounced to steal my truck or something off my truck, I may have wanted to handcuff him for a variety of reasons. And if I do, or restrain him, let's put it another way, I may wanted to have restrained him for a variety of reasons. I'd like to have the ability to do that. Then I've got the standard soft T white on here, rifle mag, because carry a rifle mag, I keep this right next to my rifle. So if I grab the rifle, I've got 30 rounds in the rifle and another 30 rounds on my belt. Before I go any further, let's see who's on this morning. I see some comments here. Let's see. Chris says, morning. Mike says, Facebook will only allow so many shares. They lock me down. Dan said, work for me. Jeff is on. Good morning, Jeff. Paul is on. POM seems to be the flavor of the month. Not sure what that means, bro. My jiu-jitsu coach, Cody Hudson, is on. Good morning, Cody. Jeff Day says, good morning, Rich. Good morning, Cody. Christopher Hallmark says, my duty belt is a two-piece design. The inner is a hook and loop. Stiff inner belt. I don't normally wear the inner unless I'm on the range. All my gear hangs on the outer belt. I have my plate carrier set up as my home defense grab and go. I do like the idea of having gloves and pepper spray though, yeah. Like I said, you know, this really is a setup very similar to how I ran my kit as a police officer. Although the latex gloves, I didn't wear them right up front. I think they were more toward the back. And I just, lazy guys, to be honest with you, I didn't want to have to take this whole damn thing apart, just put the latex gloves on. And I wanted them to be up front to remind me, like, if you can, put those on first before you start messing with anybody. But the pepper spray is a great force option. You're far more likely to pepper spray somebody with this than you are to do anything. The idea of handcuffs get you in some really slippery legal problems if you decide to handcuff somebody. But again, you're on your property. They have no right to be there. I think you run a risk of denying them their civil liberties or something like that. And I'll worry about that later. If I decided I'm going to restrain them till the police get there. And me and my son have been working on contact and cover, working a little bit of tactics together. So I'm going to teach him handcuffing. Or, you know, I can do the handcuffing and my son can keep his firearm on. So after we get past the rifle mag, we come up to this. And the reason I'm running this is it has a retention on it, if you can see that right there. So it has a retention button on it. I like that. The other thing is, by having it on my left side, it gives me the ability to be part of my firearms retention system, because this current holster that I have it in, it's a Safariland 5188. It's a phenomenal holster. It offers no retention on it whatsoever. Great holster, no retention. So my retention is me and this. So if I have to cut somebody off that firearm, that's part of the plan right now. In the training vault, we have some amazing ways to retain your firearm. Matter of fact, Mike and I did basically like a seminar at an NRA convention a few years ago on firearms retention. It was pretty cool. Matter of fact, I think I ended up breaking Mike's Safariland holster during part of the demo. So these holsters can and will break, as we saw that day. So beyond this amazing Hinderer by TDI, we've got one pistol mag, one lonely, sad pistol mag. And I know what you're thinking, Rick. You're going, Rich, why in God's name are you only running one handgun magazine as a backup? And here's the way I look at it. Yeah, I could have probably put two on there, but I got 20 rounds in the gun and another 20 rounds here. If I go through 40 rounds of handgun ammunition, man, we got real problems. I mean, it's really, really bad. The other thing is, I've got a 30-round rifle magazine here and another 30 rounds in the gun. So technically, if I walk out of the house with my rifle and handgun, I've got 60 rounds of 5.56 and 40 rounds of 9mm. Oh, and the last thing, the gloves. I don't know how you guys run gloves on your duty gear, but I just put a rubber band on it. It breaks away real easy. If I need to pull them off, it just literally snaps right off, but it's robust enough to run with and stuff like that. So that is my duty belt, and I'm writing an article on it. So every Friday I tell you about what article you need to check out. I'll have it finished probably today or tomorrow. I'm writing an article on how you can build your own DIY duty belt. I'm going to have some links to these pieces of kit on here if you just want to, you're like me, and I really didn't know where to go to find out how to set one of these things up. I just kind of like, what do I want to have? What pieces of gear do I already have here in the house, laying in a sea bag somewhere, hanging out in this old tactical bag? What do I have? And I just kind of put it into a pile and said, man, I need a good belt system. Other than that, I think I have everything. So I put it together. Any questions you have for me, comments, I'd love to hear them as I sip my coffee this morning. We're talking about duty belts, DIY, how to make your own. Gordon says, good morning. Good morning, Gordon. Good to see you, sir. Matthew says, citizens arrest. Paul says, good morning. POM is pepper spray. Never heard it called that, man. Had to get some sanitizing spray. Just got here. Good morning, Steve. I'm glad you're here. Linda says good morning from Fort Worth. Good morning, Linda. Glad to have you. Jeff says, I like the beard. Makes you look younger. Jeff, you're my new best friend today. Yeah, my wife is still wanting me to get rid of all of it, man. I just can't do it yet. But this at least gives me the opportunity to wear a face mask and respirator. Matt says, are you worried about back injuries with the soft T position on the back? You know, the other day I decided, we went to the range and I wanted to see what all this felt like seated in a vehicle. And it was incredibly uncomfortable. And yes, I am worried about back injuries. I probably drove for, I think, maybe 15 minutes or so to the range and 15 minutes back. It was very uncomfortable. But I think the understanding that the role and the mission that this is for is not sitting in a patrol car. It's me throwing it on in the middle of the night and investigating something on my property. I won't be really seated with it on. But you bring up a great point. One time when I was a bouncer, man, I was had this guy standing rear naked choke, and I had a big those big D-cell mag lights stuffed down my back. And the guy was taller than me, and I decided, hey, screw this. I took him straight on my back and choked him out. But I think Mike was there. I don't know. He was probably sipping coffee or something, watching me fight dudes on the street. Anyway, yeah, and I landed on that big mag light on the small of my back. So your point is well made and well taken. So if I was running this to be seated in a vehicle, you would see a completely different setup, I think. But because of the purpose that I'm going to use it for, I think it's okay for now. We'll see. Good point, though, Matt. Terry says, I'm great in the hospital waiting to be released from reverse shoulder replacement. Man, God bless you. I had a lot of shoulder reconstructive surgery done about 8 years ago. It was well worth it, but the recovery was a long one, man. Make sure you do all your physical therapy, Terry. Walt says, good morning. Matthew says, any suggestions on how to convince my wife to let me get the gear and assemble a battle belt? Yeah, that's a good point that you make there, Matthew, because this is expensive stuff. If you don't have any of this kit, you're probably looking at easily $500 before you add the handgun. Easily. If you get good gear, this setup right here with a handgun in it, it's $1,000 bill easily. So the wife has to be on board. I think witnessing what happened that night, because my wife was here, I'm in my kitchen right now, and she was standing here watching all this unfold out the window, that window right there, and it was like, oh wow, and it didn't take a whole lot of convincing. But like I said, I was fortunate in that I had 95% of this gear. I think I had to buy another handcuff case because the other one was from when I was a cop, and it was just dry rotted piece of junk. Other than that, I think I had everything except for the belts, and I traded around for it. I took my time, put it together, and maybe you can do that, man. Maybe you can do a piece at a time while you can, and just slowly and quietly assemble it. Terry, it's great to be here. Man, it's great to have you here. Chris says, I had a pair of cuffs from when I was auxiliary state trooper. I gave them to my son when he became a deputy with the understanding that they use those instead of the issued cuffs when he made the first arrest. I think that is super cool, man. I think that is awesome. Wendy, good morning, Wendy Bowman. Matthew says, I got to ask, for the regular Joe or Matt 9-to-5 attorney, why would I want a battle belt? I don't think you do want a battle belt. I don't think you need a battle belt. Like I said before, that's a great point. I'm 50 years old. Marine for 20-something years? Absolutely. I had H harnesses, LBVs, different kind of belt configurations as a cop, as a SORT officer, as all these things. Ran a lot of this stuff throughout the years. As an old civilian now, I thought, there's no need for this, man. There's absolutely no need for it. Matter of fact, Mike would bring me in. We would teach some police officers from time to time, our military group. I never ran this crap and plate carriers around those guys. But now maybe I will. And the only thing that, like I said, when I went out there and dealt with this a-hole in my driveway, I wished I had pepper spray. Man, I'm like, I wished I had latex gloves. Because the guy was bleeding out of his mouth and he was, I'm like, if I have to go hands-on with this guy, I don't want to get near that blood that I can obviously see. Or if I have to punch holes in him and he's bleeding, I really don't want that. So I wish I had latex gloves. I wish I had a better place to secure my flashlight. I wish I had a knife on me. I wish I had my gloves on me. And then I'm like, why not just have something that hangs on the back of the door? I grab it, click it on, and roll out if and when I have to. So if that's something that you don't feel like you need, then I agree with you. You probably don't. And I'm not the guy to convince you of it because I had to convince myself that I needed it. But great point. Christopher says, got me thinking my setup, actually, just my plate carrier, I have no holster. If I toss the carrier on and grab my pistol, I'm pretty limited on my response options. I ordered a plate carrier last December. And because I think they were just they were so cheap, and I can't remember why I decided to finally just pull the trigger on it. I'm like, you know what, man, I'll at least get to talk to her about coffee with Rich. I'll use it as a tax write-off for expenditure for American Warrior Society. Why not grab a plate carrier when it's like less than $200? So I bought one of these AR 500s. And in 2 weeks from now, on a coffee with Rich, I'll bring my plate carrier out and we'll talk about plate carriers. But these are pieces of kit that the average civilian, are you ever going to need it? I don't know. If you want it, knock yourself out. I have no problem with that. You're an American. You're absolutely free to do that. But I think to your point, Christopher, I don't think my setup or your setup or anybody's setup is going to be static, as we play with it and learn what works best for us. I think we're going to continue to make modifications. I mean, this is the way it's set up today. If I was to talk to you about it 6 months from now, it may look slightly different. Who knows? Good morning, Alan. Good morning. Good to have you. Tony says, Rich, what knife is that? I missed it. Yeah. It's the TDI Hinderer. It's a Warncliffe design knife. I really like it. Really dig this knife. It's in a lockable sheath. TDI makes some great products, man. I can't recommend them enough. They're made by KBAR through Tactical Defense Institute, which is what TDI stands for. That particular model right there is basically an upgrade from their law enforcement model that had no retention, and a lot of guys were running them right behind their mag pouches as part of their firearms retention plan, and dudes were stealing them off their kit during a fight. By putting in a lockable sheath, it gives you a really good level of retention. So hope that answered your question. Just as Rich, how often do you practice with that gun? Not enough, probably. I probably take it to the range every other month. Probably need to do more with it. I do a lot of dry fire with it, but I don't take it to the range and shoot it that much. But probably should do more. Will says, Governor ordered shelter in place at midnight tonight. Good luck out there, Will. You're in a good state, man. Bob says, saw that announcement yesterday, Will. Hope you guys are okay. Yeah, and I feel for you, man, being a small business owner out there, Will. Yeah, I wish I had an answer for you, but unfortunately I don't. These are exigent circumstances. Coffee and pink suspenders, Walt says. Well, if you don't remember, for some reason, we worked as a bouncer, Mike and I. We had to wear pink suspenders. It's a long story. Check out that podcast we did, though. Matthew says POM is a brand of pepper spray, very popular. Oh, I know what you're talking about now. John Correa, I think, is sponsored by them. Yeah, nothing wrong with that. I've never used their products. I have used Saber Red. I have used Freeze Plus P. I have used Mace brand. I haven't used Fox Labs, although I do recommend them. They make that 5.3, and that stands for 5.3 million Scoville units. I think it's probably the hottest stuff on the market. But Palm, if that's a good one, man, rock on. John says, been watching for a while. I agree with you on being ready. I prep. My family think I'm a little crazy. That's okay. That's okay. I can totally relate to you. I think my family at times have thought I was overdoing it, and here we are. Sean says, how do you mount a Ifak to keep it tight to the belt? I don't run an Ifak on this. I only run the soft heat wide. And it's got one of these little clips on the bottom that it can pop off and slide it on here like that. I have a few Ifak kits in the house, so if somebody did get injured, at least I could put a tourniquet on them, and then we could go retrieve the Ifak kit. Bruce says, I mirrored my battle belt after my duty belt, so everything is the same. Yeah, Bruce, pretty much the same thing here, man. This is the way I ran it when I was a police officer, and yeah, I think mirroring it is a great idea. John says, buy, selling, trading is a great way to do it. It's yes, the way I did it, bro. You got friends out there, maybe they need this and you need that. And like I said, this is completely do it yourself. Put it together, make it meet your needs. If you're like, Rich, I don't need all that crap. If I had a gun, pepper spray, and a flashlight, I'm good to go. Well, then that's all you need to have. But next Friday, let me go ahead and tease this now. Next Friday, I'm going to show you a different kind of duty belt, and I may meet some of your minimalist needs out there. I really like it. It's another option that my son is currently playing with. It's a very low vis duty belt, but it has everything you need. So you want to learn more about that, join me next Friday, Coffee with Rich. Then it says, I call my rig a bump in the night belt. Yeah, absolutely, man. Mike says, good morning. Sydney says, Rich, do you keep a round chambered in the Glock for the battle belt? Currently, no. And let me tell you why. Although I have adult children in this house, because it is out and exposed and there is no retention on that holster, I keep a loaded magazine in the gun, and that's it. And so people could yell at me and go, well, it should be in the safe. I understand there's risk. If you're in my bedroom, behind my door, messing with my kid, I just don't know when that would happen. We don't have strangers in our home, let alone strangers that are in my freaking bedroom. But I will have to chamber around. If I had it in a retention holster, I probably would keep the gun loaded, and I know that you can slap me around on that. There's pros and cons to everything. If you're someone that has little ones in the home, I think it would be completely irresponsible to do either one of those things. You probably need to have the gun in a safe. It's stored and put away, something that you can quick access safe like I have on top of the refrigerator. When I come in, then the day I take my appendix holster off, I put it in the locking little vault there on top of my refrigerator. But your experience may vary. Hope that answers your question. Tony says, I have a TDI and love it. Really like that one. Thank you. Rudy says, I built a similar belt for 2-gun competitions. When I compete, I loaded up the rifle and pistol mags, but some of the pouches are multi-use. In today's environment, I can use them to hold different pieces of equipment. Yeah, today's environment's a great example, Should you have some of these on your equipment? Should you have this? I mean, we live in crazy times. I mean, depends on how this thing goes, where it continues to mutate. You know, it's got me thinking of all kinds of things. So, great point, Rudy. Seth says, what do you think of the belt clip for that TDI? The K-bar version has warped and keeps popping. Seth, you're onto something. I don't necessarily like it, although I've played with it, I've grappled with this. It hasn't come off. I really don't like it. It does warp. I have all kinds of TDI products. If somebody out there knows of one that will attach to Molly, I'm take my money, please, because what he's talking about is, if you look at the way I've got this set up, it's just kind of slid underneath there. Now it has a little hook underneath here, so it is pretty doggone secure. But I love the plastic. I just wish I had this plastic connecting to some sort of molly that would snap in and really be secure there. But yeah, great point. Bruce says, have a great weekend. I have to go to work. Yeah, I probably need to let you all go, but let me read through these comments and then we'll close it up. Walt says, have a great weekend. Big question. Do you get your son's one as well as the comment? Did you get your son's one well as a comment? Yeah. I think your point, Matt, is when my son came home from grad school and we're looking at how to harden and defend the house, my son didn't have a battle belt. And it's almost like, well, it's too late. What do we have here that we can DIY you one that can kind of run covertly as well as overtly? So next Friday, my son's actually going to join us for Coffee with Rich, and you're going to get to see my son Grant's current setup for his duty belt. I think you're going to find it interesting, and you'll get a chance to hang out and have coffee with my son, so stay tuned for that. Alan says, I have modified my older Uncle Mike's rig I used while still active in law enforcement, adapted it to today's circumstances for rapid response. God bless you, Alan. I'd love to see that. Send me a picture. I'd love to see that. John says, have to sign into work. Have a great day, and you all be safe. John, you be safe too, sir. Seth says, the retention for that TDI is great until the belt clip warps and the whole shebang popped off my belt. I'm afraid of that too, Seth. So if you find something, man, send it to me. I appreciate it. Doug says, have a great weekend when heading back to work. See you, Doug. Be good. Chris says, heading into the office, guys. Stay safe. You stay safe, Chris. Molly attachment would be perfect. Yeah. Gordon says, stay safe, everyone. Have a great weekend. You too, Gordon. It's good to see you. All right, guys. I've kept you on here for 38 minutes. Thank you for joining me this morning with Coffee with the Rich. Again, I'll have the article up by this weekend, the DIY duty belt, how I put this together, why I put this together. Check that out. Don't forget to check out the American Warrior Society and the AmericanWarriorShow.com. And don't forget, next week we're going to have on Grant and his DIY duty belt right here on Coffee with Rich. And until then, stay safe because the fight is coming. Be ready.